Yes. Today's topic is the different components of ecosystem. Okay. The components of ecosystem nothing but actually ecosystem means total planet. Total planet is another word. It is called as a ecosystem. Means in ecosystem there are two types of things are available. One is living things and another one is non-living things. For living things, example is human beings and animals. For about non-living things are so many example we can take stones, granites, okay, like different motor vehicles, means the physical components which are used by the living things, those comes under non-living things. Okay, so and ecosystem, in ecosystems it is having the relation between living things and non-living things, means how we are using the non-livings in the environment. Okay, so see here, ecosystem refers an area of nature having the living organisms interacting with the non-living organism, means the relation between living organism and non-living organism, and at the simultaneously we are exchanging some matter, means for example take the plant. Okay, plants are generating the food material and it is giving for the human beings as well as the animals also. Okay, means there is a interaction and exchanging the matters from the human beings to the environment, and human beings to the surrounding, at the same time surroundings to the human beings, means it can explain in a very simple manner, that is from living people, living organisms and exchanging with non-living organisms. See here again, the next point is ecosystem is the entire complex of community of organisms and the physical environment which they interact. Means what it means, ecosystem is having majorly two components, one is the living and one is the non-living, and living is called as a biotic and non-living is called as a abiotic, and this ecosystem deals the interaction and exchange of different matters between the living things and non-living things. Okay, now components of the ecosystem. Components of the ecosystem, already I explained these all things. Okay, components of the ecosystem is majorly, that is the living and non-living. Living is called as biotic and non-living is called as abiotic. So first we are going to learn about the biotic components. Already I explained biotic components nothing but these are the living components of the ecosystem. Okay, for example these living components are characterized in different ways. Okay, again I am repeating, ecosystem nothing but ecosystem is refers to an area of nature of living, nature of having living organisms interacting with the non-living components, means the relation between a living organism and non-living organism, as well as how they are interacting and how they are exchanging the material between them. That is about the ecosystem. After that, the living organisms are called as a biotic and non-living is called as a abiotic, and these two are the components of the ecosystem. And now first we are going to learn about the biotic components. Biotic components means living organisms or living components of ecosystem, and these also further characterized into two different ways, that is autotrophic and another one is a heterotrophic. Okay, autotrophic and heterotrophic. First listen about the autotrophic. Autotrophic nothing but the materials which can synthesize the food or which can prepare its own food. Okay, means again I am repeating, autotrophic means the things are the components which can prepare the food material by itself, that is called autotrophic. Heterotrophic nothing but these can depends on the autotrophs, means heterotrophs do not prepare the food material, so it can opt the food from another materials or another things, means it is a dependent. Autotrophs are independent and heterotrophs are dependent components, which means autotrophs are going to prepare the food materials and energy materials. For example, if you take the plant, If we take the plants can prepare the food for itself, and it gives the food for the human beings and other animals. So it can we can explain as a autotrophic. And heterotrophic is the example is a human being. It means he can't prepare his own food. He can take the food, or human beings can take the food from the different, like they can take from the animals, or they can take the food or food from the trees. Okay. And again, in autotrophic also there are two types. One is the phototropes, one is the chemotropes. Phototropes nothing but, first autotrope nothing but it can prepare or it can generate energy by itself. Okay. Now phototropes. In autotrophic again we are diverting, or we are differentiating in two terms. One is phototropes and one is chemotrope. Phototrope nothing but it can prepare the food material by itself by absorption of the sunlight. Means, example, take the plant. Without the sunlight absorption, plant can't prepare the food. So it can prepare the food or any energy itself by the absorption of the sunlight, by taking the sunlight. These are called phototropes. And now come to the chemotropes. These can prepare the food by own, but it can absorb the energy other than the sunlight. Means it can't absorb the sunlight, but it can take the energy from the other materials and other things. Means by taking water or by taking any other materials, it can generate the food materials. That is comes under chemotropes. Examples, bacteria and fungi. Okay, it is about the biotic components, and in that biotic components only we finished about autotrophic components. Autotrophic means it can prepare food itself. In autotrophic components there are two types. One is the phototropes, one is the chemotropes. Phototropes, it can prepare the food and it can generate the energy by itself by absorption of the sunlight. It is about sunlight. Now come to chemotropes. It can also prepare the food and it can also generate the energy by absorbing the energy from the outside other than the sun radiation. This is about the biotic components, and in this autotrophic is over. Now we are moving for heterotrophic components. Now it is heterotrophic component. Already explained, heterotrophic means these includes those organisms, see here, these includes those organisms which are unable to prepare their own food and depends on autotropes, means depends on others. These are called as heterotrophic. And here one more explanation, autotropes means these are generating the food and energy itself. Means these autotropes are called as producers, means they are producing the food and energy, so only they are called as a producers. Now come to heterotrophic. They can't prepare the food and energy, they can only take the energy and food from outside, so these are called as a consumers. Okay, autotropes are called as producers and heterotropes are called as a consumers. So based on this, heterotropes there are two types of consumers. One is the macro and one is the micro. Okay, macro consumers and macro means they can take the huge amount of the food and they can take the energy, or they can consume the energy in a high quantities. That is macro. Okay, macro consumers also called as phagotropes or phagotropes, and micro consumers are called as decomposers. Okay, and based on the food source, the heterotrophic components are so many different types. For example, herbivores means which can take the plants or grass material, that is a grass material. Like example is the rabbit. Herbivores is a rabbit, and carnivores is tiger, and omnivores is human and fox, and detrivores again bacteria and fungi. Okay, here again I am repeating about heterotrophic components. Heterotrophic components nothing but these are unable to prepare their own food, so it can depends on others, means it can depends on the autotropes. Okay, and based on this explanation, autotrophs are the producers of the food and energy, and heterotrophs are the consumers of the food and energy. Based on this, there are two types of consumers: macro consumers and micro consumers. Macro consumers means they can take the food and energy in high quantities, and micro means they can take the small quantities. Macro consumers are called as phagotropes, and micro consumers are called as decomposers. Based on the taking food source, there are different types of heterotrophic components are again, that is herbivores is rabbit, and carnivores is tiger, omnivores is human and fox, and detrivores is the bacteria and fungi. This is total about biotic components. Again, I am recalling biotic components. These are nothing but living organisms. And biotic is classified into two types: autotrophic and heterotrophic. Autotrophic means they can prepare their own food, and autotrophic again classified into two types, that is about the phototropes and chemotropes. Phototropes means they can prepare the food based on the absorption of the sun radiation. Chemotropes means these also can prepare the food and energy, but by the absorption of different radiations apart from the sun. Okay, and next one is the heterotrophic. Heterotrophic means these can't prepare the food, it can depend always on the autotrophs. Okay, these are called consumers. Okay, heterotrophs are called as consumers, micro and macro, and based on food source also, so many different types: herbivores, carnivores, omnivores, and detrivores. Okay, now we are going to the second type of component of the ecosystem, that is abiotic. Abiotic means non-living component of the ecosystem. Biotic means living, and abiotic means non-living component of this ecosystem. It is very simple, you can write in your own words. Example, see here, materials. So many materials are there. Okay, materials are also classified into inorganic and organic. Okay, inorganic means water, carbon, oxygen, calcium, sulfur, any stone material. So you can write in a inorganic material like what we can explain, stones and iron rods. These are the non-living things, so we can explain in inorganic. Organic means proteins, lipids, and carbohydrates. Means, for example, we can explain the sugar. It is also non-living thing, but it is a material of organic: carbohydrates, lipids, and proteins. And one more thing, you can explain climatic factors. Climatic factors means what we can explain: humidity, wind. Means wind nothing but what is the speed of the air. Okay, and weather conditions like temperature. These are also we are using like these are surrounded to the living things, means these are the non-living things, that is the temperature, humidity, wind. This comes under climatic factors. And similarly, pH means the concentration of the environment. And geographic terrain. Geographic terrain means whether the your living place location is having the hills or not, or else it can having the any rivers, or it can has a forest. These are all are non-living things, so these can comes under abiotic. Means you can write, you can explain any type. So here is the edaphic factors. Edaphic factors nothing but, see here again I am showing the edaphic factor. Edaphic factor nothing but which related to the soil. Okay, so types of soil and minerals. Minerals means some places we are having these stone mines, some places we are having the granite mines. Okay, some places we are having the diamond mines and gold mines. So many different types. Okay, this is comes under soil types. And water also. Okay, some places water is like in a reddish color, some places is a transparent like and some places water is present in the form of a hot condition. Okay, these all things comes under abiotic. Okay, thank you.